The mirrors are always late.
Sorry, I couldn't answer your call. Was it about the notice you needed to put out? Okay.
Well, no, I wanted to let you know that.
Yeah. That's fine. I appreciate it. It was actually on a Zoom and Erica was like, we need to put this notice out. I said, my wife was calling me. We got it out. All good.
We'll find out later on.
Yeah.
We'll call the Poughkeepsie Joint Water Board September 8th meeting to order. First item on the agenda, public participation. Any member of the public like to speak? Doreen.
Thank you. I see under new business that you have Hopewell Developers signed into assumption agreement, and I don't know if that is actively discussed today. That was on the agenda last month. There wasn't anything posted last month or this month in regard to that. So if you do have any records that you're going to be discussing today, I'd like a copy of that for the open meetings law, please. And the other thing is, and maybe Dottie can talk to this a little bit. The last meeting, there was a brief discussion about the salt front. And I did read on the DEC database that the salt front did reach Poughkeepsie around August 20th or 22nd. I'm not sure about exactly I had it written down. And you know, and I'm not saying that any laws were broken or any state regulations were not followed, but it is good for, like, I have experience with family members who are on dialysis and people who have to go through those treatments. It's important for them and the dialysis center to have that information as soon as possible. So I didn't see anything posted anywhere, and I know that there are state guidelines, and I'm not saying they broke any of those guidelines. It's just that sooner you can get that information out, the better. So thank you.
Okay, approval of July 7 minutes.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Plant status report.
Okay,
Be a long one.
busy month for us here. Heading this as I can. The production is high, like we are used to seeing. I did put it a little bit differently this month so we could see what the production rates have been since 2016 each month. And same covered over and over again, but there's definitely an increase, and it's pretty consistent throughout the year, which is either something that's always happening or brings us back to a different operational change. So that's there. But like I said, there was a slight decrease, in the month compared to July, which is also expected. The bigger issues, though, is the salt front, which is upon us. I did include what we're seeing. It did kind of come up on us a little bit faster than we're usually seeing it, especially because we haven't really been very dry here. It's been up north, that's the problem. And because of the low flow rates in the river, it's not strong enough, there's not enough water to push that salt front down. So we did begin to see some increase in conductivity, and at that point, we are just supposed to monitor it. Unfortunately, our response plan has always been to pump around the tides. So when the high tide is up near us, we would either shut down or reduce our rates. But because of the amount of water that we're producing now, we are unable to actually meet that response plan. So we are kind of stuck just pumping what we can. When we noticed the increase, we did do some sampling. What we're used on a regular basis is conductivity, and we estimate with a calculation what the approximate sodium and chloride concentrations are in our plant effluent. We're doing just grab samples, so sometimes we're not maybe picking up on that very high peak from the high tide, which is an operational change that we're going to evaluate and look to changing because of this event. So we'll make some adjustments to how we're looking at it. But when we did notice that it was getting higher, I started reaching out to Hudson 7 and Riverkeeper to see if we can identify where exactly that salt front was, because it was, like I said, a little, it did happen quickly. Usually we have a very low level and it really takes a while for it to increase, but this was like very fast.
But from your chart, it looks like it had peaked earlier and was going
It
down,
was.
right?
Yeah.
And then all of a
And
sudden,
then all
so
of a sudden, again, it was like just on the second or third, whatever that day it was, it spiked the highest we had ever seen it here.
Mhm.
At least the operators that have been here the longest, they haven't seen it that high. So, and it was at that point that we did reach out to the health department. Coincidentally, Vassar Hospital had reached out to me about their emergency planning, just because they had some new people in place. They wanted to work on emergency plans to make sure that they were all set. And it just happened that same day they were sitting here, they got a call from their dialysis center concerned about the water and what they were going to do. Mid-Hudson Regional Hospital did call me concerned as well about not being able to treat their dialysis patients. I spoke with the local health department. They reassured me that it's up to them to make sure that if they need specific quality water, that they have their own emergency response plans in place for that.
you mean it's up to the hospital?
It's up
So the proper equipment.
to have the proper equipment to do whatever they need, or have it a backup plan. Like Vassar said, they're able to bring in a tanker truck and hook it up to their house, to their system if need be. So those are things that they're supposed to have in place. That being said, the county health department reached out to the emergency planning department there, and they reached out to all the dialysis centers and began communicating with them to make sure that they were all set with plans. We had county health department spoke to the state health department to see what the next step is here. They understand that we are up against a wall in how we can handle the tide. The required public notification for sodium MCL exceedance, and there's really not an MCL, it's a secondary guideline, but we already make the first notification in our annual water quality report. The second notification is at 270 micrograms per liter, and that would be 30 days after we had a level that was confirmed over that amount. Because we're just using conductivity and an estimated calculation, we don't have a certified lab test for that result yet. So we haven't technically met that requirement. And then chloride would be a 270 milligram per liter notification. And again, it's 30 days or even a year for that one. So because sodium and chloride, they're not necessarily harmful to your health, but if you have pre-existing health conditions, that's where there could be some concern. I did speak to the health department on Friday about doing a public notification preemptively, because we know that at these high levels, we are exceeding those concentrations at the high tide. But then when we have a low tide, we're kind of back to normal. So it is a variable number that's being released into the distribution system. They agreed that a preemptive notification would be great. I've written one, they have it, and they are evaluating it, and they sent it now to the state health department to make sure that that we have the right wording if there's anything else that needs to be added. So that is in the process. Unfortunately, it just takes some time, but we haven't exceeded any kind of timeline that they have set forth for us. It is something that we are going to evaluate. We might need to change how many samples we're taking, what our process is, especially at this time. They are wanting to, they're going to want us to do some additional sampling in the distribution system as well. High levels of sodium and chloride could potentially increase corrosion, even though we do treat with the corrosion control inhibitor and we adjust our pH. There's just concern. We want to make sure that we are meeting all standards there as well. So that's where we're at with our salt front. We're hoping for more rain. I do know that the State Health Department was meeting with the DEC's drought committee and discussing our situation here, so. Hopefully we'll have some more
What,
information.
what date was that spike? Was it
It was
August?
around, that was the September 2nd or 3rd, so.
Okay.
The August 20th timeline, is that,
The little bump.
that
Shorter
middle
bump,
peak
uh-huh.
where, you know, that middle hump of time.
Okay.
One of the things that we've been looking at, so, right around that August 20th timeline, when we started to see it get higher for us, I had reached out to Hudson 7 and Riverkeeper because I wasn't able to find out exactly where that salt front was at that time. So I was looking for more an informative locations something that we can, you know, pinpoint. Some of the USGS stations weren't reporting conductivity at that time. Something happened with software, so we weren't even able to see that. Now they've fixed those, and what I see is that when West Point starts to get really high, when we're there seeing like 8,000 conductivity units, that we're just starting to see is the conductivity rise here. So that could be something that we need to monitor more frequently so that we at least are prepared for something like this. So it was a bit of a shock for us.
So you said that you thought that dams because of up further upstate, there's drought, that there may be dams up there that regularly release into the Hudson that have stopped releasing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're getting Atlantic storm surges, which is push. So you've got a lot of push coming up the river and
Not enough water.
not enough water coming in. And so it's a pattern that's different than you've seen before.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, one of the, I believe, still one of the reservoirs that pushes that water down the Mohawk and then into the Hudson is Sacandaga. And Sacandaga is so low right now, it's only the first week in September and my brother had to take his boat out. It is too low to even run your boat in the bay. So it's like sitting on the mud, so they took their boat out.
I just Googled because I knew that I remember the last time I noticed that, and it was 2020, the month of September.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
So-
it was September 30th, or thereabouts.
Yeah.
2020 was the last time.
And how long did it last? I mean, essentially what we need is a lot of heavy rain, right?
Yes.
Upstate particularly, right?
Last year was around September, later in September, where there was a longer dry spell and we were concerned about it. We were watching it, but it never really amounted to anything. We saw some low concentrations, just like we began to see the beginning of the month, and then which is normal for us to get these periods of
Right.
spiking, but
I wanted to address the issue of preemptive. I mean, I agree with Doreen. I think it's a really good idea to let the public know. I also have now been in the supervisor's office and left to know that when you alert the whole public to something, then you get all kinds of calls and it freaks people out. But I wonder if there's a way that the salt levels could be posted daily in a way that people who do have health conditions. I mean, I think it would be, it's good that we ought to be making a public statement. We ought to be saying, hey, everybody just be aware, salt levels are higher, filter your water if you need to, or whatever. But particularly for people who are having medical conditions, to say, if salt is an issue for you in the water, here's where you can look daily or weekly or whatever to just get a heads up on where things are.
so one of my only concerns about doing something like that is that we don't have the capability to run sodium analysis here at the plant, that we have to send to a certified lab and then get that data back. Sometimes takes some time. So it's not like a vast turnaround time that we can get those numbers on a daily basis or anything like that.
What does it take? I would think sodium levels are not that hard to.
No, it runs on an ICP, which is, you know, a larger piece of equipment. That's the only method that's certified by EPA. I do have a sodium probe upstairs. It's very, it's not very stable, so you have to standardize it and regularly, and it's not a certified number, so
Got it.
it really doesn't matter if you report it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can talk to the health department about what other options we have to help by the public, but I think this
Right.
is supposed to, the wording that I put in there is that during this time, you know, we can be exceeding this, you know, this level.
Right.
And that you want to have health concerns that,
It-
you know, this-
It seems like the hospitals are not only monitoring it and have to monitor it, but also have a list of people who they're working with, who are patients, who are the ones who most need to know. And that, and I mean, I don't want to pass the buck, but it seems like they are the one, they would be in a position to just make sure that there's awareness.
Yeah, I think this is, it can open up, discussion for the emergency planning, you know, people of the county, so that we can discuss how, you know, if this happens again, and it is fortunately likely with our climate changing and, you know, periods of sea level rise and things like that, that this could be a bigger problem down the road. But we can communicate and open those lines of communications to figure out what's the best way to notify the public when we have instances like this.
And the hospitals do have those, you know, smaller equipment that does do the RO to take the sodium out of it. But the lean levels were so high, it was too high for their equipment to do it.
Yeah.
So that it was just like locking them out basically. So
So
this said when I talked to Rick, to Mid-Hudson Regional.
yeah, so I do have another meeting with Vassar. They were really happy with our meeting that we had originally, and they'd like to follow up. They were doing some tabletop scenarios today, and they wanted to follow up later on this week to talk about more and how we can help them get involved. So I think this is a great example, and maybe we can do the same with Mid-Hudson Regional as well. And get the county planning. So then the other big issues that we had was our low lift pump number 4 began leaking oil from the motor onto the pump. Our maintenance department, so it basically was out of service completely. We wound up pulling the pump, sent it out for evaluation and repair. It looks like it was a bearing of some sort in the motor, so that's going to be replaced. These pumps were installed not that long ago, but in the grand scheme of things, but bullet pump number 4 had been rebuilt basically twice, like Ryan said. So it is one that was not very good to begin with. But unfortunately, this was another unexpected repair. Low lift pump number 2 is also holding on with some extra
Bubble gum and duct tape.
yes, bubble gum and duct tape. So that one was actually scheduled to go out for repair, but because number 4 died, we had to switch gears and do that.
Number 4.
You know, keeping our fingers crossed that it can last a little bit longer, maybe make it for the year, put it into next year, but it is taking a risk as well. So
What would be the cost to have one of those pumps sitting here on hand so that way you could swap one out so you're never down a pump? So you had redundancy.
So, I mean, that was a thought that Joe had. We'd have to figure out a way to store it and do everything. You know, these, as you see, they're giant pumps. So we'd have to figure out a way to maybe keep it upright and design something. But, you know, the repair of this pump is probably going to be around, so we were estimating 30,000, but it's looking more like $40,000 to $45,000 for the repair. I'm not even sure what it would be.
So eventually at some point you got to replace them. They've already been repaired a couple of times.
Right.
So like getting one and having it, so okay, hey, you got one to throw in, worst comes to worst, you replace one new one, you got one old one, you got one old, you can get rebuilt, you know. You always have one basically in the mix of to do something.
I mean, it's definitely something we can evaluate, and maybe, you know, it's hard right now because I do feel like we're kind of in this holding pattern of making decisions and things like that, but we're not quite sure what we're doing in the future and how we might need to expand down there. We need to pump more water. We're going to need potentially more pumps. We're going to need to look into that. So that might be something that we can add in with the next.
So it's something big for the study to look at too.
Right.
Yep.
It's
And Dottie, could I just ask, do you have enough in your contingency budget for that 30,000?
So we definitely need to tap into that. We have some other larger invoices that we have to pay. I think right now I'm hoping if nothing else big happens, I think we'll have enough to do this, but still have a few months.
You need to have a talk with all your pumps and your mechanical things. You just have to sit down.
I actually texted Randy, like, I think the plant misses you.
Oh, yeah.
Get
Get back in here.
It's testing you, right?
It's like Beauty and the Beast.
One thing after another. So we also had a pilot that went down, and then we do have replacement kits on hand. And then when they opened the replacement kit, it was the wrong seal size. And then we reached out to the manufacturer, and then they sent another one, and it was still the wrong size. So our guys wound up making their own, and it's worked. So that was another awful. And then we did have another shutdown because of power. And this is another issue that we do need to get resolved. Marist, so what we've been noticing is that sometimes Marist will get a blip of some way or whatever it is happening on the Marist side, and it's causing us to shut down. And we thought we kind of had our own like power, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So we've been trying to reach out to Central Hudson, and Brian, our maintenance supervisor, has been working with a contact there, trying to get even a meter of some sort so that we can monitor and get some readings from what is coming off the line, because Armani is seeing issues with the quality of the energy that's coming from them as well, and it's spiking and dipping, causing issues on the controls side. So that in of itself could be an issue. It's what the cause was of our major issues last summer, where we're shut down for a month and trying to do everything manually. Armani is working with Schneider, and they have an idea, Schneider Electric, of putting variable speed drives down at the low lift. Pumps down at the low lift, but it's going to be a very big expense. He thinks that would help us with some of our power issues here at the plant, but again, it's going to be a very large investment. They're also very big, so it would take up a lot of space, and we're not sure if it's the right thing to do right now, again, prior to going into an evaluation of what our comprehensive plans should be going forward. But they do feel that there's grants and credits that can be used to pay for some of this. So they are coming on September 15th at 11 a.m. Anybody would like to come in and join here?
Their thoughts is that the VFD would stop the third leg dropping, but it wouldn't help the quality of the power.
Right. So
We have that big whack.
Right.
It's just gonna come on nice and easy.
Right.
exactly.
But like,
That still doesn't help the quality though. It's still Central Hudson has to
It's
deal with it
still-
no matter what we do.
right, right.
So we just be spending money for nothing.
So one of the other good things that came out of my master hospital meeting was that they have a contact from Central Hudson as well, and Central Hudson just installed an additional line to the hospital as a just in case. So I'm hoping that maybe we can utilize that contact as well. So
Get a whole,
and then
your whole new service right to here, and it's just for you guys.
dedicated for us would be beneficial.
that'd be good.
But
That's a home run.
we're gonna try to make contacts as well, but if we need to, we may need to have some additional support from the town and city to help push if need be with some letters.
Yes, please do let us know, or phone calls or whatever we can do.
Excellent. So overall, in quick nutshell, that's that.
Okay, operating budget status.
So we are 68% of the year in, about 59% of the budget spent, but we are going to have some additional chemical expenses because we're making them more water than last year. So we'll have that. That does not include some of the large costs for repairs of our pumps that we've been experiencing. And but so far we're not super scared yet.
Okay. New business, this is the Hopewell Developers Assignment and Assumption Agreement.
Yeah, so we received an email from the Dutchess County Wastewater Authority just advising that there was a potential assignment of the Hopewell Developers LLC agreement with the authority. This would be to the Swartout Water District, which was a duly formed and constituted water district in the town of East Fishkill. So basically, it's just assigning and assuming the rights for water with the authority from Hopewell Developers to this new water district. And Jerry didn't think, and I would agree, that the board had to take any action to approve it, but wanted to send us the documents just to make sure, could take a look and make sure that, everything looked fine. So I didn't have any issues with the agreement. It simply just takes the rights from Hopewell Developers, passes them to this new water district. And here it's going to be the same take or pay that the authorities already doing. So there's really not going to be any substantive change other than the person that's purchasing the water from the authority. So although no action needs to be taken, I do think it probably makes sense just to have a motion that just basically the essence of it would be that the board has no issue or, accepts the assignment from Hopewell Developers to Swartout Water District. And I don't, Jonathan, since you're here, do you have anything to add on this one?
I think you've done a fine job of explaining, that I would have to before consider a certain question.
So,
Answer any questions.
yes, do we have a signed agreement or this is part of this is underneath the umbrella of the WWA?
Yes, so this would be the 9th amendment to the agreement with the Water Authority, and this would be just assigning and assuming those rights that were part of the 9th amendment.
So there's no other change other than from Hopewell Developers to Swartout?
Correct, yeah.
And what's the reason for the change? A change of ownership or?
East Fishkill has created a water district to represent the property. And so it's solely that one person, and East Fishkill's created these districts elsewhere, so.
Is that all by I-Park and all in there?
What?
Is that all in the I-Park area there, or is that?
They're working on one for there, and they have one, there's also the Hopewell development, that's pre-existing. But just to say, Hopewell is establishing their ability to do this, they're looking to represent the property. I think it's a good thing. It'll help to ensure that the payments are made in time. Which means that the city gets into a receive everything possible.
Thank you.
I just need to understand if it's a new water district, are they taking more water from us or is it the same amount?
Same.
Same amount, okay.
Yeah, so it's really, there's no necessity to approve anything, but just with the belt suspender safety pins methodology, I always like the idea of just making a motion just that, the board has no issues with the assignment and assumption. And then I can pull together a formal resolution, send it over, and just so they've got it on their records and it can keep kind of business going as usual on that front.
You have a motion to approve the assignment?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, I would say that I'm Jonathan Sherms, executive director, that's just kind of what I'm this way, but thanks for not announcing.
Aye.
Old business, the bylaw review. Did we look at the bylaws?
We did.
Do we want to discuss?
So on a related issue, the IMA committee is continuing conversations I think that there may be some additional or different issues we may want to flag about the bylaws as we go along. That's gonna take a little while because we need the Jovita from the city and Menal, the controller of the town, are gonna try to meet and do a very thorough understanding of the reconciliation processes, which means reconciliation of, financial reconciliations and also reconciliation between town, city and, all parts.
So
We're both in the middle of budget season, so the controllers would like to do that in October. But there are some additional issues that the IMA committee may flag just in terms of the bylaws are being sent, we're sending back to the.
Are we in any rush to modify the bylaws or work on is there a timetable we've set for ourselves? No.
We may want to set one, but we have not, to my knowledge.
I think you should probably wait till the IMA stuff gets done, and then you take the suggestions from that, and then, because these bylaws are so outdated, you got to rewrite them anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not gonna have much left of the existing. There's a little bit, a couple of
This talks about fax machines.
Yeah, so you're gonna really kind of recreate this document from square one, so you might be using the IMA as your building block to rewrite the bylaws once that's all done.
That's what I'm saying. We're not in any self-imposed rush to get anything done with the bylaws.
No, they're kind of a mess.
Okay.
So,
So I'm okay to wait for the IMA to be done.
So we probably ought to set a meeting at which we're going to reconsider them so they don't disappear again.
yes.
Right?
Well, when do we think the IMA is gonna be done?
We are not gonna meet again until after the controllers and financial officers have met to go over everything in October. So I would hope to have something by the end of the year or early.
I was trying to say beginning of January.
Actually meeting with Brian and Jim and Bill, and we're gonna take the comments that everybody's made so far and clean them up and get that done. So if you wanted to join us, if not, it's okay. Just have to start finalizing some stuff the next 2 weeks.
So we'll set the bylaws for the new year?
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah, because once you hit the holidays, it's gonna get all turned around again anyway, so.
I'm hopeful that we have something from the IMA before that,
I just don't want to, keep it on here and keep
Yep, yeah. no,
pushing it on.
I agree.
Once again, there's a lot to
Right.
think about.
Can I raise another old business issue?
Absolutely.
No, it wasn't on the agenda.
Go ahead.
It wasn't on the agenda.
Outline our key language.
Yes,
So there's a paragraph that I've modified, it's item 6 in red.
yep.
So I'm just gonna pass these out.
So it's my packet.
And this is for the RFQ for the study.
For the study.
Right.
So the,
Well, and that was my,
writing on them, or I can send it out in Word, which I've sent out several times. So I know that up until this red paragraph, you had copies of this.
Everybody got it.
But based on our discussion from last month, I added item 6. Descriptions of, so.
John,
So 5 had been descriptions of performance deficiencies or problems for each unit process, including power demands, instrumentation, and controls. So new paragraph 6 is descriptions of source water deficiencies or problems, including quantity concerns such as climate change impacts on low river levels and drought conditions, and quality concerns, including the impact of changing salt front location and emerging contaminants.
Perfect.
The need for and potential sources of emergency water supply must be included for this now.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
That covers.
Yep.
Very good.
Yes.
Great.
Unbelievable. And then the next month, boom, that's what we got.
Yeah,
Talk about anything, but I feel like
Don't
every
put
time
anything
it's
else in. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
so I will
Crazy.
take right away, just redistribute this to everyone. And then if there's any other comments, but I think from last month, this was what we wanted to make sure.
When does this plan to go out? Once your comments are updated and all that stuff,
Both the city council and the
I
town
think
board.
everybody's done on it.
We're all approved. All right.
Ready to-
awesome.
Should be ready to go.
Right.
Step to get.
Yeah, so the only thing that needs to be highlighted is the date it's gonna be due, so
Yep.
it's ready to go as long as everyone felt good about that paragraph.
Yep.
great.
And any other comments, just email everybody so we know, but I think we'll be ready.
Put a date so that I know when I can hear from you guys.
We voted on
This,
it.
yeah,
Voted on it.
this looks great to me here. I don't know if anybody else feels they need more time to review it again, but with that new paragraph, that make, I think everything's covered.
Do we have to
Concerns
vote
that
on
I
it?
had.
So we can say we voted on it?
Think you should do it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, with just like an amended.
so I would vote to approve the amended RFQ. It's an RFQ, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
the
yep,
RFQ.
RFQ, right?
That's very important.
Yep.
Second,
Any discussion? Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye,
Opposed? 5-0.
right.
So just, I think everyone knows this because everyone was emailed frequently. But the VIA application has been successfully resubmitted and we have an email. And I'll make sure that gets off to everyone that confirms. And this was both the town's information and the city's information. Additionally, the drinking water SRF application was submitted since there was tons of overlap. And so now it's all formally in, and the next thing on that front will be, we'll get missing items letters for both the city and the town. So the new grant application and the drinking water SRF applications for funding the filter evaluation have been successfully submitted and received by the Citizens Justice Department. And third, we just had a slow progress on the filter actual work because we, to maintain compliance with drinking water SRF, needed to get a structural engineer, we decided, even though time bond is structure, and for construction observation for that project, utilizing MB and WB subcontractors. So now we've got Manganero for that work for the structural. And so now that they're on the job, by next month, we'll have a 90% submittal on the filter evaluation. That's it. Sorry, I just want to make sure.
You want to go to executive session?
Yes.
I've got one old business, just our 14 boxes. My records access / librarian has been on me for a few months. So I just wanted to, everything is scanned into the system. We sent around the link, so everything's digitally available.
Did you miss the last meeting? Were you here?
No, that's the one I'm.
That, I think we talked last month about storing those boxes here at the, finding a place to store them here.
Perfect.
Because we do want to keep them,
Okay,
despite the fact that everything's been digitized, so.
all right, that's it.
So how long do we want to keep in time?
I don't know. Where's the decision on how long?
That's what I'm asking, like, I mean, how long do you want to keep them for that they're taking up, use space? Has it all been digitized, year, 2 years, 10 years?
I mean, you might want to store a logo. I know.
Yeah, but I'd rather see pump stored in a bunch of papers we already got digitized.
Board's decision.
I'm good with a year.
I'll make a motion for no more than 1 year.
Yeah, I like that.
I can say for anything in the, water world that has lead and copper, we say for 12 years, everything else is like 10. So I think at that point, we'll look at some of the oldest, or newest files that might be in there and make sure we're.
There was some organization of the files too, that some of those boxes were repeated drafts and unsigned contracts of cops. So if there's a way that the parts that were,
Get thinned out.
they could be thinned out, that might be helpful too.
So we have a motion for a year and a second. All in favor?
Wait, hold on.
A
We're
year.
talking about
That-
throwing away records after a year.
That are all digitalized, that we have copies of.
I want to understand what the process is of keeping those digital records and where they are and how many copies we have. Sorry, the historian and archivist here is really making sure that we just don't get rid of anything that we need. Because had that been done 10 years ago, we would not have been able to construct the IMA documents that we've needed to try to just go back and get. We would have lost the bylaws because nobody had them. So I just want to make sure that before we throw anything away, that we're not keeping anything that we don't, and digital is great, but not always.
So what I have done so far is they are saved here internally on our server under my board folder. So that I can say is definitely done. What I'd like to do is something similar to like a SharePoint so that they can live there as well. And then as new board members come, they'll have access to that spot. I just have not gotten to putting those there. I created a SharePoint spot, but that was as far as that was my thought that we can do something along those lines.
Could you check and see whether they can be thinned? Whether we have 8 boxes of stuff that we know were drafts and memos and stuff that can go? And how much needs to be retained?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say probably 25 to probably 35% is definitely just drafts. And
Right.
so, yeah, we can
Just out of curiosity, how many attorney hours are going to be spent to do that work? That has already been done as well too, right?
Yeah, so I had just staff doing it, none of them billed for the initial scanning. So I can give it to one of our secretaries and have them do the work, and it won't be bill time. I'm supposed to bill their time, but I don't always. So we can keep the cost down on that.
And just a point of order, there is a resolution or a motion on the floor, so it's been seconded. I don't know whether or not we go to a roll call or continue the discussion, but it'd be nice to finalize this process at some point in the future.
Okay. I'm against the resolution. I would like to make sure that we keep the printed records as well as the digital. But I can be outvoted, so.
Roll call.
Nay.
Nay.
3-2.
So that means in 1 year, all the boxes will be thrown out. Is that what we decided?
After a year, those records that have been digitized, the water plant is authorized, the water plant or the water plant attorney is authorized to destroy those records.
So within that year, I'll make sure that we have that SharePoint up, that those things are located, and that we have additional backups so that.
Before that year's up, we can bring it back up again to make sure all that stuff has been done in case there has to be, in case something didn't get done because other things come up
Yeah.
and stuff like that, you know. And I think that's only fair because there have been a lot of stuff going on,
Double that.
you know.
It's like every meeting, you should just bring a box with you.
Enough suggestions from you. You were good at the engineering stuff.
To get them to Albany, I had all the floors, my trunk stacked up to the roof, and then in the front seat of my car. So we just made it.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to go to exec session to discuss personnel, salaries, and compensation for project management. Is that allowed?
Very good.
All right.
I think that needs to be a motion, right?
First, I motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0 exec session.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice afternoon.
Take care.
Happy rest of the day.
Have a great afternoon.
See you too.
See you later.
Okay, yeah, I know. I knew you'd like that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do I have you, am I able to? Right.
You gonna do the motion now?
Are we moving to adjourn?
We're
Nope.
back.
Back in a regular session?
Making a motion to come back into regular
I
session.
make a motion to come back into regular session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
Okay.
Make a motion to conclude the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is concluded.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.